I always forget there's 2 buttons on this live because I only ever have to press 1 button as my portion of the live. So I'm like, oh, I'm talking to myself for a few seconds. Oops. No, it's fine. Here I am. Hello. Yes. For the second time tonight, just after the rather fantastic and tiring first live, we're here to talk about Trekshorts launching its 2022 Indiegogo and its new film. That is a lot to think about and talk about, and I'm excited to share with you all my thoughts straight from the pulpit, as it were. Yeah, you can ask away, you can whatever, and hopefully, who knows, some of you might want to throw in a few bob by the end of this, because I'm excited. As tired as I am, I'm excited because this is a 2-year project, and it's really nice to be able to show it to a lot of you because I know what's going into it. I know what's coming, but again, see a reaction is going to be really fun. And I'm here to answer questions. As you guys know, I really do. You guys are super special to me, so I'm going to be bonus things with you guys. Bonus talking. Oh my God, Siege O'Neill. Greetings. Station Thermal Agent reporting for duty. Yes, I saw that. That was it's a cheeky old perk, wasn't it? Yeah, that's a fun perk I invented, which certainly made the day a good day. Although we need more people because one is phenomenal. Obviously, we need lots of small people. Yeah, email me about the secret perk because it is a secret for a reason. Yeah, so we're going to look at the campaign, and like I say, hopefully grab a few. You never know. A few. Oh, Nick. Thanks, Nick. What do you individually make a month? I just want to support you. Not enough. I spend a large chunk of it on Trekshorts, which is why the Indiegogo. Certainly, most people wouldn't work the hours I work for the money I work, but I work in fan films and Trek YouTube, so I earn less. But every $100, $500 on Indiegogo will make a big difference because a lot of this money is to back fund previous things I've already shot because I kept shooting, and so supporting this campaign will back support things and allow them to be finished and new things to be made, etc. Really, really excited. Like I said, show off stuff. I'm just going to share this to the wonderful YouTubes because actually I can do that while I show the picture video because I've got that as a video somewhere. Let's share the video. So this will be a couple of minutes showing off what we're doing. I can share the campaign while it's happening, which will be smart. Let's see, where is the video? And I got to explain what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're doing it, and here's the video. Hello, my name is Samuel Cockens, filmmaker and co-creator of Trekyards and of Trekshorts.
Hi, I'm Nimran Saund, and I play Lieutenant Anna Keeley.
Hello, my name's Marcus Churchill, and at the moment I'm playing Lieutenant Sam Harriman.
We had a certain ambition, a certain scope, and we got the money and we used the money, and then we had more good ideas and developing ideas, and we kind of turned that into the start of this epic journey.
If you want to do if you want quality output, it costs money. That's the realism. That's the reality.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. Reality bit.
With a lot of nothing behind us, we'll have a lot of stuff practically in front of us. Yes, Playmates toys exist, but there is an astounding difference between a toy and a screen accurate resin, full lights, full sounds, full sized.
I mean, if you compare like a Playmates phaser to a screen accurate prop version, I mean, the size differential is a big thing. The paint finish, and it just adds to that production quality.
As soon as you show on screen the full size prop with accurate colours, your brain says, yes, that is Canon accurate.
So amazing, especially just, I could just sit and look at the tricorder all day. It makes it feel so real. This is really cool.
So we're able to kind of invest in better costumes. And while we're still limited to the Chinese brands, we have access or reference to more accurate replicas. And so we're able to take a lower end replica to a tailor and say, here is a good one, enhance it. Boy, the difference they make. And we think the hybrid of the cheaper costumes with the enhancement makes a huge difference.
There's such authenticity of the costumes and the props as well, actually having the right things correspond to the right eras and the quality of the costumes. I'm not an expert, obviously, but I don't see the difference between these and the ones in the series.
One day I came up and Sam had a clothes rail full of like 6 costumes or something. And I was a bit like overwhelmed because I literally have, I think, 5 costumes.
Oh, but it's a good costume. It's a proper smart costume. And like this flash across the shoulders, just like, pa-cha. That's nice. I think it's one of the smarter ones.
One of the most exciting things about Trekshorts is all the space work I get to do. To be able to turn my scripts, the ideas of these space battles into reality is such a rewarding experience. There is a massive variety. We have got all sorts of races, all sorts of situations, all sorts of hero ships, a couple of enterprises. The sky's the limit in terms of what I want and can do. And I try and go ambitious, and I try and fill these stories with some really, really nice visuals that sell the story, bring you into the world, and do stuff you've not seen before. I'm not limited in Trekshorts to a single Constitution class or a single Intrepid class. Every era, every character has their own ship, their own vibe, their own style, and if you love the ships of Star Trek, we have such a variety.
Insanely impressive for the crew and the budget. It's just, you just don't see indie projects at this level very often. It's a really, again, you can just feel the dedication, the desire to make the absolute best thing we can.
One thing we're so proud of in Trekshorts is our digital backgrounds. We've gone a bit mad with the amount of sets, ships, locations. Because of our era swapping, we've got things from TNG, Voyager, DS9, First Contact, future ships. It's incredible. Our main 3D interior guys were working non-stop for about 25 months on Trekshorts. Amazing dedication, amazing work. You've never seen these sets on a fan film. You haven't even seen them in 20 years since they were on the show. And here we are on Trekshorts bringing them back. We're building them in full 3 dimensions, meaning the ceiling, the floor, every single wall. So when we film a scene, we construct a scene on this flat green background. We're able to imagine where is everything in the set and say, okay, well, there's the light source, there's the wall, let's do a close-up, we know where everything is, and we can do it all interactively, properly, and fully.
But how are you going to play a 23-year-old? That's all I'm wondering.
Well, I mean, there's been, thankfully, thank God, there has been some really, really huge advances in digital de-aging software.
It's like, it's crazy to look at, but then it gives you this amazing scope to work with story-wise. So you've got this like huge timeline of events. People get to play their character as they age and go through events and learn and mature and change in a way that is just not something you would get to do very often. It's really impressive.
It's nice to be back in an older costume in probably one of the brightest eras of the Star Trek kind of TNG era stuff anyway. We're nice and shiny and bright and happy and optimistic then. So it allows us to go back and, genuinely inhabit the past of these characters. And
I look like I'm about 14 years old in the
It's strange to
tester.
see.
It's really weird.
the original pitch was for 5 films, and we've done a lot more than 5 films. So we've had way more shoot days than originally planned, way more travel than originally planned, way more expenses than originally planned, and actually we've invested in more costumes and props. At the end of the day, the money only goes so far. So hence another crowdfunder.
But yeah, there's loads of extra bonus content, which technically wasn't even covered by the original Indiegogo.
Yeah.
That's all bonus stuff.
Yeah.
In 2022, we've released One Small Step, The Icarus Incident, Foley and Gambit, Judy Calls. But the fact is that when we developed these characters, these situations, other little ideas came up. And so we have, I can say, over 20 short films of varying lengths in production.
If we want to keep on making this amazing content, we need you guys, once again, to just put those beautiful hands in your pockets once more. Doesn't have to be much.
Yeah.
Every little bit helps.
The fact is, some of these hard costs are absolutely in the DNA of filmmaking. Food, travel, accommodation, hard costs, and with this many films in production, this many great ideas, those costs just mount up.
Invest your money and then you'll be repaid with amazing stories and effects of characters doing brilliant things, and so many things that haven't been seen before either.
So nice to look at more Trek, right? It's more of what we want as Trek fans. Those beautiful personal character stories that we love. If you're a Star Trek fan, it's exactly what you want. I think you should definitely support it, please.
If you guys want to keep seeing stuff, then please, please, please do donate whatever you can. Every little helps. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So support us on Indiegogo today. We have so many more costumes and props and ideas we need budget for. I think we've shown in 2022 that we can produce many quality, different and interesting films in the Trek universe, and we need your help to finish that through 2023 and 2024, because believe me, you've only seen a small fraction of what we've got, and we cannot wait for you to see more. Support today, and there's some good Trek coming for you all.
Hours to Doomsday. It's a wrap.
Get me out of it.
Yeah, and it's so hot.
He's never going to leave that in. He's never going to leave that in.
Shiny thing.
Look at that shine.
Shiny,
That's-
wibbly wobbly, LED, tricordery goodness.
Right, good luck, guys.
Thank you.
And going from these, tight little settings with the green screens and everything to something that looks, huge and expansive and like we're, really there. That's where the real magic is. So, and that's you. So,
Thank you. That's them who are waving. Good luck, guys. That's a wrap for costume 2.
I thought it was another selfie.
Well, it is a selfie video.
No, but I was like, my face changed. I was like,
Oh,
okay, and also,
look and look.
right, we're doing this again.
Okay.
Blooper. Okay, all right.
You always forget it's going to repeat on this thing. Let's see. So apparently... Let's see if this works. Come on. You know you are. I gave him warning. So apparently we have someone wants to join in for the live briefly as well. When they pop in. But yes, so what do you think of that video project right there? So there was a lot of work to make that edit. Oh yes, there he is. Not just do we release an Indiegogo today, we also release a new film. The Nick Cook-led Battle of Velsac 2. And that's pretty great as well. He had to log in. Or something like that.
Pretty much, yeah.
Dear me. And it's funny, I just put your poster on the frame! Oh my god. So he's a mini celebrity, really.
I look kind of fat, but hey.
No, you don't. You're puffy up your chest with glory. That's what you're doing. You're captaining, Nick. You're captaining. Yes, and Mr. Nick Cook of Intrepid,
Something like that.
and of many a Trek short. His first solo Trek short. Obviously with your wife as a voiceover secondary, but you know what I mean. Yeah, how's it feel to have your first solo Trek short? Because you were obviously one small Long From Home. God, so many things to remember. But you filmed that remote and I didn't direct you. So how's that feel being your first solo adventure?
Yeah, it's hang on, I'm just going to mute the other thing because Skype.
Mm-hmm.
When I figure out how to mute Skype.
It's very hard, Squadra. Very hard. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah, it's it's an interesting challenge actually, and it's nice to be in all these things that I can actually start talking about a bit, because it's been a couple of years actually. So much stuff, and I've almost lost track of all the things we've done because there's been so much stuff and some really cool stuff and interactions with all the cast. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, anything that's in the Indiegogo we can at least tease, which is lovely. And I certainly gave away lots. But at the very least, I mean, the thumbnail picture, which is a lot of the different graphics, shows the extended cast this year. I mean, we've obviously teased people here and there, but I'm very, very proud of this graphic. For the last year we had, or last time, since you're right, it's been over a year, it was like 7 people, and now we have 11, and some familiar faces in the Trek community, but also everyone's sort of in their proper era uniform, most of which was shot on the location with us. So it wasn't just, what picture have you got? Oh, this is Marcus from 2012. Yay! Etc. So this is a really nice representation of what we've got here, and I think certainly for me, the last time it was mostly First Contacts and some TOS. I had so much fun making this with the amount of TNGs and Voyagers, and it's. I mean, what do you think now you sort of see it?
I mean, I think really that it's funny because when we first shot for Convergence, which was the whole plan originally in the first place, and I've often said this, it was kind of a sausage fest, and there was Nim there. But I mean, it was a much smaller cast, and we all got on really well, and I think we did some good work together. But this thing has grown so much beyond what we intended, beyond what you envisioned it to be, and certainly beyond what I envisioned it to be. And when you did the original short Treks Indiegogo, when you thought, we're going to do 5 or 6 films, and then we would turn up for a shoot and someone had cancelled, then we'd have hammer out a new script overnight, and
because that happened most times the first 6 months, because it was still COVID. Like, that was still the dark times of we were dealing with that, and it was literally, I would think, out of the first 10 shoots, 7 were directly interfered with by an illness or a COVID. Most of them.
Yeah. I mean, Battle of Vilsack 2, which you've just released today. I mean, that's a prime example. I mean, I turned up for a shoot on the Friday night. I mean, I'd fly down from Edinburgh on the Friday night.
The Friday night,
and get in, and get greeted by you and say, so we might have a problem. It's like, all right, so I need to write a new script for tomorrow, and I'm feeling like, okay, but it turned out really well,
Another lightning in a bottle. We had 2 that year. We had your one and my one. Both filmed back to back weekends.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's funny because we
No, it wasn't, because Nim didn't turn up. No, it wasn't. That was different. That was different because Nim was there for the other one. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny though because we don't always agree on how we see these things, but when we put our heads together, we just seem to come up with good stuff. And I mean, it was funny because we did chat about that script the night before. I went to bed. You stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning and wrote it.
Yep.
I mean, it worked out really well, and I'm really proud of that one. So I'm really thrilled that you've kind of launched the Indiegogo with it. Although I would like to have come out months ago, but
yeah, it's been meandering at like 85% done for about 8 months.
Yeah, because I mean, you showed me it. Month I saw
February.
February was like the pretty much. I would say it was only almost finished cut.
85,
So far, yeah. So I'm really proud of that one actually. But it's just the whole project's just come so far, and I think it's difficult to get into how much stuff you've done without giving too much away, because there's some really exciting stuff there. And for people who are fans of Star Trek, but particularly fans of Star Trek fan films, there's we get into some really deep dive stuff. Yeah.
But very little is fan service for the sake of it. I've managed to kind of plug. Normally, if there's a reason or if there's a thing I'm doing for a cool reason, like Doomsday Machine, there's a really strong narrative pull that makes it make sense. It's an excuse, but it's not a fan service excuse so much as a how can I make this all work really. And then it tends to work. But yeah, I mean this cast, the original cast, we had from left to right, we had me, we had Gary, we had Marcus, we had Nim, we had you, we had Jacob, and we had Killian. So that leaves 1, 2, 3, 4 slots of entirely new, 3 ladies and Sean, and Sean's his own unique entity. And if you look at eras respective, you've got 2 TNGs, 1 Voyager, 1 Season 1 TNG. So that's really broadening out the cast. And we've talked about this because you've been here a lot of those days. These aren't extras. You know, and you have no idea what Sean's doing, but these aren't extras. Everyone here has a meaningful role, hence to get in the main graphic. You know, I didn't include people who only have a small part to play. And it's you know, it's also wrapped up in this grand universe, but also this minutiae of every story is its own story. It's and this is the thing, you know, this is the thing. These Indiegogos aren't for no reason. This isn't me trying to say, hey, give me money so I can buy a car. I don't know what I could do with that. It really is, you know, we've been shooting every month non-stop pretty much for, well, since March last year. COVID became less of a thing. That's a long time.
Easily. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think I've got the words to describe what a kind of journey this has been, because, and also seeing the evolution, not just of the project, but the way it works from the beginning, because I think it was pretty slick to begin with, but coming down for the shoots now, they're even slicker than they were at the beginning.
Okay. I thought you were going to say the opposite.
No, not at all.
I thought you were going to say they got worse.
The interesting thing is when you see Sam working, because, I mean, I'm used to working a certain way on my own films, but obviously I've worked with Sam a lot in the last couple of years, and he's come up, you know, to Scotland and shot for me as well. And Sam is very efficient in the way he does things. And obviously he often has a 2-camera setup, although when he was up here it was just the 1 camera. But, you know, he knows what he wants to shoot. He shoots it very quickly. He's very economical with the time. Yeah, and he gets good performances out of his actors. He's a good director, and he has a good vision. And he knows and even with the green screen stuff, because he can visualize what he's doing, it makes it a lot easier for the actors. I mean, he can tell you exactly where you're moving with, where to look and all that kind of thing. But he's got that whole visual in his head, even just with, like, you know, 2 or 3 of us sitting in front of a green screen. He has a visual in his head of how it looks. That's not always so easy for the actors, but he has that image there, so he can tell us exactly what he wants. Yeah, it's just a remarkable experience, and ultimately it's a lot of fun, and that's what fan films should be, a lot of fun. Yeah, it's also not a cheap endeavor.
No, especially when you do the level that we try and do. And we're very economical with our money. It's not as if we're, unlike Farragut, who we love him, we're not spending £1,000 on a costume. That's a lot. Yep. It looks it, like their stuff looks it, fantastic, but we're not doing that. The stuff is going a long way, but we're doing a lot of things. And also thank you for all the compliments there. But it's, and you know, it's a lot of fun. It's, I think, and I know for Nim this is definitely the case, I don't think you're ever going to think of Velsac 2 and remember the green. I think I've now burned how it looks now in your memory. And would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
You don't remember looking at auto cue and seeing my shelves?
No, not at all. Not at all. You mean the mess hall looks great.
Yeah, some of the sets are better than others for sure. So therefore, you've now gained yourself as this actor who's worked on Trek for a long time, who for the most part does outside stuff where it's very, it's outside, but it is limited by it's a field. You make it look nicer, but it's a field, and you've done less and less green screen over the years. But now you've got this mental image of yourself, not photoreal by any means, but a high standard of green screen on an Intrepid class that you've been wanting to do for you know, almost 2 decades. I don't know if you've ever been in the mess hall. It's like that's a new visual that you as the actor, that's, you know, you get something fun from that for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you certainly, I mean, reoriented how I've always had a high regard for green screen, but I've never been a huge fan of doing it myself because I just never feel we've always done it that well. Partly because we've never done a great job of lighting the green screen.
Yep.
I've picked up a lot of tips from watching you work, and I think in the last few, certainly the shoots we've done in this last year, our green screen's been way better lit. Part of that is having like a few more people involved that know what they're doing as well. But yeah, so yeah, you've definitely helped redirect us and re-inspire us to a fair degree as well.
Yeah, it's. I think people are not necessarily scared of green screen, but doing it wrong, it can break your soul a bit. I mean, you had a film that's almost unreleasable, and I would certainly hate that to happen. And it's just, well, all the work and effort. But if it looks good, and I mean, you know that the first Indiegogo, there was the impetus, and let me just show the page because I want to talk about that in a minute, obviously, because you know that's why I'm here as well. The original Indiegogo was very much, we want to make these 5 films, but with the it would be lovely to make more. That was always the mindscape of, you know, some of these props and costumes feel like a one-time buy, but it's not as economical, but you guys want to see the quality, so it is what it is, obviously. And so being able to do more films with them, even tiny films, the value proposition feels really intense. Like, damn, this, and now you've seen I can throw in a random tricorder for one scene. And we have it, and it's there, and it adds to the whole film. So the initial Indiegogo, we knew there was an interest. We had already done a good amount of work on the first 5 films in varying degrees of pre-production, etc. And we spent a lot of Indiegogo on things, on props and costumes. And then when something like customs comes along, and you're being forced to pay $200 in just customs, and a lot of those things happen just to burn some extra money when expecting. I know one thing that surprised me is that when we started, hotels were a lot less expensive because it was coming off COVID. They've doubled in price, and that really stings me because I obviously have to pay everything. So hotels now are sometimes like £600-700, that's almost $1,000 for a weekend. That's just hotel money, but it is what it is. No.
I've certainly noticed the difference the last couple of times I've flown down to Bedford because, the flight prices have gone up as well, actually, but not as much. But those hotel prices just jumped, and it's like you might be £30 for the Friday night, and Saturday it jumps up to over 100, and you're like,
yeah. But it is the pure matrix of we need to do this thing, and we're so passionate about the work that we want to achieve it and do it, and that's great. That's why this sort of thing, if you guys help us fund it, we want to put in the hundreds of hours, because it's not a short trip for you. Okay, maybe the Americans say it's an average trip, fine, but for everyone else in Europe, significant trip, and you've come off a long week of working in the National Health Service to help people. Let's not disvalue what you do. You're not a plumber that might help one person every week. You're helping all these people all this week. Losing entire day traveling and then having to work because you're not coming to relax, you're coming to. And my favourite comments, Alexa said in her interview, which will be released later, I'm sure. I've done so many pages in my life. It's true. You do a lot of stuff. But it's very, very satisfying.
Certainly the not the last shoot for Convergence, because that was a much smaller scale shoot because there was only the 3 of us, but the big Convergence weekend, we hammered through so many pages that weekend. That was hard work. Ultimately it was a lot of fun, but it was hard work and it was tiring, and I really felt for Marcus because he carried a lot of that.
If Marcus didn't know, we would have been screwed. He absolutely kept us on course.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. He was better prepared than me for sure. There was that one scene that absolutely killed me. I just couldn't get a head around it.
You were shorting out for some reason. Whatever, that's never happened before and it's never happened since.
I definitely had an off day.
Hey, plumbers are great. I'm just saying. But let's talk to the chat for a minute.
Great.
We have actually got some.
They're far better paid than I am.
Oh well. And also we have got some contributions sort of finally during this, and one humongous one. So I'll refresh in a minute, which I was not expecting. So yay, getting some emotion. But let's talk to the chat for a second. Oliver says, looking good, thank you, and thank you for the donation. I did see that. Talk about in a minute. Donnie's of course here. He's always here. And then we'll just run through the questions we've already got, and then we can jump back to the Indiegogo. But look how cool it looks. Look how many things. Look at all the these are all the films released this year already. My God. Squadron Course, he says, and this is you as well. Do you find that these short films you cut out secondary characters to fit in more main story, or other things you leave out to focus on?
That's a good question.
A good question.
Is that for me or you?
That's you. You start and I'll jump in.
Well, I don't think there's a straight answer to that, to be honest, because it really depends on the story you're telling. Certainly on the films I've done with Sam, we tend to focus on a smaller group of characters, but part of that is practical rather than story-driven in some ways. So Sam tends to craft his stories around the smaller group of actors he has, and sometimes it's only one actor. And part of that is down to a lot of the restrictions we had for COVID, and part of that is just down to scheduling the actors. But going back to my own experience in that, we crowdfunded for a film a couple of years ago, which we've really struggled to schedule actors for. And we had massive delays in it because of...
and Convergence. We both tried something big and we both got bit in the butt for it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I had massive delays because of COVID. And then this year we were supposed to film a ton of exteriors, but we couldn't get, one of the actors has moved to Glasgow and we couldn't get her scheduled at all. So we finally managed to schedule. We've got our last shoot in a couple of weeks for that, actually. But we've had to go to green screen because, we've missed the summer window and we can't shoot exteriors anymore. But Sam has helped with that. So, yeah. And I think it'll be fine.
It'll look very cool, actually.
It will look very cool, but it is much easier, to get back to your original question, it is much easier to shoot for a smaller group of actors and schedule for a smaller group of actors. So it's not so much about kind of sidelining other characters. It's more about just trying to tell a good story with just that 1, 2, maybe 3 actors. And it works very well for what Sam's trying to do.
Well, it's also a case of...
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's also a case of budget. We've done a few shoots with more people, and they're really fun. But you feel that now you have to pay 2 to 3 times the hotels, 2 to 3 times the travel, 2 to 3 times the food. And when you only have so much money and you're burning through it quickly, one person shoot, you can be super focused, craft something really characterful because you have to, and it costs only what it costs. Like, double people costs more than double money for whatever reason. It just does, and it goes higher. But also, it's... Most fan films are breadth versus depth. You have the person wants to be the captain, and then you have science officer. Oh, are they Vulcan? Yes, they are. Cool. You will not remember their name by the end of the episode or even by the end of the scene. That's fine. It's about the overall story and the captain leading it. That's fine. We've gone the exact opposite. We've gone for these few core characters, kind of like Game of Thrones. I know they do have perspective characters. I use that as a reference point. That we have a few characters that we meet them in their lives throughout this timeline. With de-aging and aging, we can do a lot more stretch of that timeline. That, it's annoying not to be able to cut to a side character, but also having to maintain the same quality of costume and etc. and travel costs. It's not worth it to bring a secondary person in who might look worse for one line that'll cost more when it's economical to do what we're doing. And obviously, coming with COVID, I kept that as a mentality, and I think it's worked well for us, keep them small. And if you only have 10 minutes of a film, and we're trying to keep relatively low amounts of time, more characters mean less time per character. That's also a factor. You got a lot of screen time in your 10 minutes. It's a very different format, of course, but a lot of these films are very personal, and if you had 3-4 people, I don't want to just have them for the sake of it. And you can have some fun cameos, like we had in your film, but they feel like what they are. Hey! And goodbye. And that's fine.
I mean, I'm certainly a big fan of kind of smaller, more personal stories. And that's certainly something I've been trying to work on myself more recently, rather than this kind of big, expansive scope thing.
But they're damn exciting when you can do a big, expansive one, though. It's a double-edged sword.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that's certainly the aim of Convergence, to be sure. But again, it just brings us so many more pressures and so much more work and so much more expense, and trying to cram all those people into your green screen studio is quite a challenge.
And I was so nervous up until the hour of shooting that one person would cancel Convergence, because that would have screwed everything. I mean, Nim did have to leave, and it cost me extra £1,200 to regain that moment. That's money I can't budget for. I can't crowdfund expecting I'm going to have to need 7,000 of bonus money. But the practicality had to do it. Also, I managed to mix in with other things. You have to. But, that could have gone much worse. So, Nick, I can happily report that we had one extremely generous donation of another 1,000, and 2 other backers of 15 who are right here. And I can read them out since we're right here. We had Chris O'Neill putting £1,000 to be a Section 31 agent, which is a cheeky little perk I invented, entirely separate. And so now that should be like down with the visual effects people, will be Section 31 consultant in every single film, because it's just silly. And that's obviously incredible. We also had one from Rick Pike for £15, and they do mount up. And Oliver, who's here as well, £15, and he got Enterprise E crew member, because that's and DS9. That's my fun little perk.
Hey Oliver, hey Rick.
Yeah, that's a fun perk I invented, whereby there's many times using the E or the D or the C or the B, whatever, and when I do those finally, it'll be, you know, main cast and then crew members, and it'll be like, where are these 20 people in the film? Well, they weren't, but they're on the ship. You just didn't see them, and that's fine. And C.W. Thompson also gave 1,000 for another Station 31 agent, so we have managed to make 2,195 so far.
You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Very, very much so. But we can't run this campaign on a few rich people unless you give like 10k. So very much, if you can put in anything, this is very much a case of anything equals cool. And 7% in the first day is fantastic, but I'm not immune to 6 people only. Is not a great start people-wise. But, you know, one person giving 1,000 obviously is a lot of 10s and 15s. So yay! Hopefully, well, we should get some more over the night, otherwise that's really sad. So I'd like to see, you know, 3,000 by the end of the night, my morning, which would be 10% in the goal, which would be fantastic. We've certainly tried, and I mean, have you seen a more full Indiegogo campaign pitch?
I mean, certainly. I mean, it's a pretty impressive pitch, and to be honest, I love the pitch video. I'm torn as to whether there's too much me in it or not enough me, but, you know, probably too much me already.
Well.
Sorry, that's, you know, actors' egos and all that.
Well, there's more of your chest hair than I thought I was going to put into it.
That is true. That's true. Yeah, nobody really needs to see that, but oh well.
But it you know, it allowed for the contrast of young you to normal you. Mm-hmm. I mean, those of you who noticed, what did you think seeing yourself in because you've never seen yourself in Voyager de-aged on that set? How did that feel to kind of see that put together?
No, it's pretty cool actually. It's interesting to go back and wear some of these other costumes. Well, the less said about the TNG season 1 costume, the better. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun to go back and wear those other costumes because, you know, I kind of grew up in the era when TNG was starting out, and then DS9 and, well, Voyager, and, you know, I remember making these costumes for myself. The Voyager jumpsuit, the Voyager jacket I wear in this one, I did make myself. But
you made for me, as in you made for my film. That was great.
I did. But you know, it's nice. But I've never used them in any of my films, so it's nice to go back and get to wear them in a film. And it's still a little bit surreal playing younger me because I don't look like young. Oh, I don't look that much older. I do. I have a lot more white hair than I used to have, and a lot more pounds than I used to have. But it's nice to be able to go back and play that young person, even though it is slightly surreal. And I think I try to play them differently.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I make you, Nick. I make you.
Yeah, you do.
Don't let you be yourself. I think it has to be young guys. What's the point?
It's funny, actually. I was just sitting down editing some footage we shot for that other film a while yesterday, actually. And it was interesting watching some of that back. So, yeah, more de-aged me.
Oh, but it's.
I only could de-age in the real world. That would be nice.
Yes, I've never heard that joke before. Everyone has the same 3 jokes with a de-age. We have a couple of fantastic lady backers that are really supportive, and they have the exact same joke every time you show them. It's like, I was like, well, yep. The old ass retro gamer.
You'll be that old one of these days, Sam.
Well, no, because I've been deep faking people. So as long as I have footage of myself now, I can always deep fake myself to be this age. It's fine.
True.
Because I will have, you know, I haven't done it yet, but I'll do like a full 6K scan of my face like I did for Marcus, so I have a full deep fake model of myself. But old ass retro gamer says, "Have made a few fan films myself. I found that I had to work around what available to meet at the cost of what I wrote in the script. Ultimately, it made me creatively focused on what mattered most." And what fan films did you make? As Retro Gamer, I don't. Which ones? We sort of know which ones are around, so let us know.
Very good question. I do recognize your username, Retro Gamer.
Yes. I can't place it, which is annoying.
Yeah. I wonder.
Let us know.
Indeed.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, Long From Home was very much the, what have I got? I've got a full Roman. Okay, that's about a £10,000 costume. Let's put that in. Excellent. And I've got Nim.
Your dad has his uses.
Exactly. Very much so. And you've got a uniform we already have, and etc., etc. So that was very much. But you know, not unfortunately, but with opportunities, you want to do more things, and we went for high-end props straight at the start and costumes to some extent, but they pay off in dividends. I mean, you saw in the piece, and you saw for the first time, you know, like the three boys in the forest, like the props look amazing, and they really pop. You know, a 3D print would not be the same. Would not be the same. You know, yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, you can make the Playmate stuff look a lot better, but it's still not. I mean, the size differential's different, and
your brain sees it.
Not quite the same. Yeah. I mean, you can shoot it in a way so it's not quite so obvious, but
hire small actors.
Well, I'm quite small.
There you go.
I can get away with that. I have little hands.
Dear me. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely how we started, but you also can't do that forever. And when you have good ideas, I mean, you've bought a prop and a costume this week for a film we're doing that we didn't have 2 weeks ago. But seeing the stuff we've been talking about, it's so visually, it's like, that's worth making. But you can't not get the few things. And it's not a lot in the overall sense of money, but when you do it many times over the 2 years, that's when the Indiegogo is needed, because we're not going for like 3 films only. We're going for lots of creative ideas, but told smartly.
I mean, I'm fairly fortunate insofar as I have a sewing machine and I can use it. So if I need to alter costumes or make costumes, I can. Yes. I don't enjoy doing it very much these days, so I don't do it nearly as much as I used to. But I can make costumes if I have to. I can certainly alter them, and I usually do alterations on a lot of costumes. It keeps me off the streets.
And Mark says, just got off the road, going to contribute. Yes, Mark! Amazing fellowship present.
Mark.
Please do. Mark. There's some actually really cool perks, Mark, as well. So a huge variety of cool things. You know, any Admiral perk is going to be great. Whatever you wanna give. I mean, we're at the point where everything is good. But we did get a new contribution from Robert. Robert, £50 commander level, which is fantastic. And that's not dollars, Nick. That's real pounds. So we know what that means in terms of value. That's,
I mean, is there any difference between the dollar and a pound now? I'm not sure.
Yeah. But I know with other Indiegogos, you're always like so excited about getting $50, and it's like, oh, that's only like £31, and then take out the. So £50 we know what that means in terms of money. So he's got himself 10 digital posters, 10 digital soundtracks, 5 digital downloads, and name the credits. And I actually have lots of posters already done. So, I mean, here's a couple of them here. So, I mean, I think there's like 7 in the Indiegogo as well. So I love that. I haven't even announced the film, but there's the film announced. That's your first. I mean, I don't know if you noticed it, but yes, Forever in a Moment is your official crossover with Emma. Is the part one? Now it's part.
I knew what it was called.
Okay, good. I love that. That's a cool name. That's a cool name.
I was there for the shoot.
You didn't have a name then. I always have named later.
I'm sure you've told me what the name.
Yeah,
well,
I have.
You haven't
afterwards. Yeah.
Figured it out, but yeah.
Since. But I love that post. Sorry.
I do, and that was a fun film to shoot, actually.
Very fun.
I'm actually really looking forward to seeing a version of that at some point. But Emma's got a particular freshness about her. She has her energy comes through on screen, but she actually has that energy in real life. She's very enthusiastic.
Although she's not acting herself.
No. Oh God, no, not at all. She is very capable, very talented, and she's great, actually, and she's a good scene partner. She's fun to bounce off of.
She's a very good scene partner, yeah.
And we had good chemistry.
I kind of sensed you would. That's why it worked well. It did.
Yeah, I mean, you do seem to cast people well. Apart from me, I'm just that hack from Scotland. But
no, you're like getting Gatesman fan. You're in the fan film world. We can't get rid of you. You just come by default as a legacy.
You know what? I'll take that. I can think of worse things to be than Gates McFadden.
Yes.
Except I'm not having sex with any ghost candle. No.
I mean, O'Reilly will do it, so. He hasn't said no yet.
I guess it depends who the ghost is, but yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it just has been a fun experience. And like I was saying, Emma is very good. I think and you released her first film a few weeks ago. I think people will really and people connected to her very well now. I think they'll connect to her even more so in Forever in a Moment, because she has quite an interesting arc, quite an interesting journey in that film.
Mm-hmm. It's very relatable and not overly happy.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I have quite a part to play in that, actually. My character has quite a part to play in that, and I'm quite glad I got to do that one.
Because it was definitely a who do I choose to be her legacy partner. But I was like, A, Nick's great and he wants to come down anyway, and B, he's also the same size as her, give or take, which helps everything a lot.
Yeah, basically I got cast because Marcus is about 12 foot tall. And Emma's
13
about
and a half, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I thought, oh, well, Nick's about 3 foot tall, so that should work out. Yeah. Okay.
But I knew chemistry would work as well, which is good. But I love this poster. Oh, sorry, finish.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, she was just great fun to work with, and I really enjoyed our scenes. And there's one particular scene after a beam up that I thought was really good, actually. I liked what she did in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to play that slightly differently as well, but it was just a lot of fun. I think people enjoy that one. When's that one coming out anyway? When's that one next due?
Well, she needs that one to be somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to do that one earlier than other ones. There is a timeline despite filming out of order. So there is certain people that have to have films earlier. Marcus is always screwed because this stuff's later in the timeline. It's really sad, but and all of his stuff's the complicated films. He's in Convergence, he's in House of Doomsday, he's in the Stargate Star Trek crossover, really big films. Like, it's fine for Nim and Marcus, we know where they end up roughly. Mm-hmm. So but for Alexa and for Emma, it's a bit more like we actually tell in sort of an order, give or take. Mm-hmm. And you're everywhere. Like, who cares? Like,
I mean, obviously, the one thing, and I mean, I was going on about how good you've been on this, but I really need to compliment the other cast in this, because really, they've all turned up, they've all been on point. I wouldn't anyway, because I'm not Dighead, but, I can't say anything negative about them. They've all been, like, a joy to work with. Mm-hmm. I mean, this last shoot I was down for, Nim and I had such a laugh. I think we got quite drunk, actually. But, there is a good camaraderie between the cast. We all get on. We all have a laugh. Our senses of humor all tend to gel very well. We're all fairly lowbrow humor, actually. Marcus and the microphone. We'll not get into that one. I've got a video of that somewhere. But yeah, we all get on very well. We all have a good laugh. We do slag Sam off a bit, actually.
Well, I'm the mutual enemy. Everyone can call me the enemy on the shoot. I'm the guy at the top.
You're not our enemy. You're more like our dad, actually.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Which is ironic, because I'm probably old enough to be your dad. But hey ho.
It is.
I would have been a very young dad, though. I'm just very stressed. Teenage dad. Maybe.
Okay. Well, yeah. But it is funny though. Dealing with. Nim obviously came in being the single character in All the Way From Home, mm-hmm. and not to say you're old by any means, but everyone in the cast is older than me, and here I'm directing 3 parents and Nim and obviously Emma. It's a funny, but yeah, that's what a director does. They just zone in and they do their thing. And I've been doing directing for a very long time now. I did my web show at my school. I don't know how I got it, but I got several cool kids to be in it, like distinctly of the cool side, and so in a similar way, here I am directing to act these people who are above my social circle, and they're doing it and having a good time and it's all working. It's like, how do I do that?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say for a second that we're above your social circle. I mean, we're all...
No, not you guys.
I mean, and we're all...
I don't mean you guys. I meant the kids at school when I was in cliques at the school. I meant you guys for age, me for them for...
I mean, we're all different... I mean,
You're a higher rank. I get it.
With the exception of your dad, I'm probably the oldest one there, so...
That's why I de-aged. No,
that's interesting.
Then before we did get 2 more contributions, which is fun. This doesn't normally happen, so I'm very, very pleased, obviously. But this post is really fun for me because you are de-aged in it, but it's very subtle, and I can do a better job in pictures, so it's a more subtle version of it. Love this both ships, because that gives away your old ship, which we hadn't ever shown before. But also the full props and costumes are visible. Like, all the production value, all is there. Although I realised we made a big old goof, is that you've got a tricorder in your holster. and also holding a tricord.
Well, I obviously am like multitasking, and I like a backup.
I don't know. I don't. Just when you notice it, it's like, well, why? Makes me laugh.
Hunter likes his backup.
Yep.
I agree. Social status is abstract dribble. See, try saying that at this time of night. I agree, Trekyards. I absolutely agree with you.
But yet, still a thing at school.
It's still a thing everywhere, but it is abstract dribble made up by people that want to keep other people down.
Sure.
And that's your political bit for the night.
Indeed.
Roger Course is asking, what are some skills you wouldn't expect to be related to filmmaking but have proven useful? Ooh, I don't know the answer to that. Do you know the answer to that?
I feel like sewing would be your obvious one.
Oh, yeah, I never really thought about that. I guess it is. Things that I should really have expected would be useful, but I never really gave much thought about before I did try filmmaking was being organized, and I am not an organized person in the slightest. I am a very scatty, creative type who, when has responsibilities, has to be hyper organized. So at work, I have to be hyper organized and double and triple check everything I do. The rest of my life, I wing it very much. So having to learn to be organized, which I have to be in my job, is actually a useful skill for filmmaking, although I'm probably less organized when I'm filmmaking than I am in my paid job, if that's an answer. Certainly when I'm editing video, I am somewhat more organized, but if you look at my folders and my file naming...
I've seen it.
Regimens, I am not organized in that regard. But I know where everything is and how it goes together.
And you've seen my drives. I have like 6 drives and everything's will be spread out. Just the nature of the beast. That's just...
Yeah, I have a folder with a couple of subfolders for a project, and like just file and video files just crowded in together. I'm like, I'll use that one and that one, yeah.
I will say, and this is a bit of a sad reveal, but I did discover about 6 months ago that I did actually delete A Long Way From Home.
Oh.
Yeah, because it was obviously the oldest one, and I was doing drive stuff, and I have a lot of it, but I had multiple folders of everything, so I was compressing stuff down. I was making it in one version, and I do a normal, copy paste, don't replace everything, and I moved a incomplete version into an incomplete version, and it didn't transfer over any actual scene edit. So I have all the space effects, all the raw files, but the entire film is gone. So I had to download it back off YouTube. So the first Trekshort exists again in its only basic. So that was a bit of a shit. But when it's like 800 gigabytes, it becomes very difficult to utilize. Obviously, I keep buying hard drives, which is part of the cost. I mean, if you've got to buy an $800 hard drive or $600, I mean, it's a real cost. But we did get some more backers. Let me refresh again. Didn't do anything. Okay. Sometimes they don't always go straight away, but I know we have more. Let's go to this. Okay, that obviously isn't refreshed yet, but that's okay. So we did get another £200 from Mark Lawrence, the amazing Mark Lawrence.
Thank you, Mark.
And 15 from Christopher. Oh, and as I was speaking, a new one. Haha. Oh no, it's a comment. It's close. Mark Lawrence saying, "Here we go again. Even more fun fan films." Yes, indeed, Mark. Indeed.
As I was saying earlier, I mean, it is for fun. I mean, we want to have fun with these things, but we want other people to have fun watching them. And I'm sure there's going to be people out there who will rip them to shreds, who will hate on them, who will just not enjoy what we're doing because it's just not their cup of tea. And that's fine. For the people who want to watch these things, there should be a lot of fun. We want them to be fun. We want people to enjoy them. And if you don't enjoy them, that's cool too.
You say that though, but we've had an exceptional balance of positive to negative.
True.
I mean, we know what it means to be, people bitching about us having the wrong accent, being overweight, being spots. Yeah. These things are absolutely regular, And so it's shocking how many positive comments we get. Ratio, it is. I mean, I know that Nim, when Long From Home came out, she looked at comments. You noticed the 1 or 2 negative, but even then we're getting so infrequently. We're getting more views than ever, so we're getting more people who are also not seeing bad things. Now, obviously nowadays, we're going for a higher standard. We're filming it better. We're lighting it better. All that stuff obviously helps, but no, the ratio is phenomenal, and it's really rewarding. You still remember the one bad comment in 50.
Oh yeah.
But the ratio is so low at this point to positive. It's phenomenal. And obviously, you've been in fan films for 2 decades, and you obviously would have seen early days comments were very pernickety, silly.
Actually, it's funny because certainly, obviously, we collaborated on Pursuit of a Dream, and I mean the ratio of positive to negative on that film is incredibly high as well. You still get the odd negative comment, but generally, very, very positive comments. Which is surprising, actually. But hey, take what you can get. And at the end of the day, if people enjoy what you know what? If I make a film and one person enjoys it out of 100, hey, one person enjoyed it. That's cool. I'm glad somebody enjoyed it. I feel like you've muted yourself.
I'm muted. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't hear anymore because the thing changed. Yeah, I was saying, because I come from a filmmaking perspective. If I get 1 out of 100, that's a terrible failure for me. I want 80 or 90 out of 100 to enjoy it. But I come from a very specific filmmaking perspective.
Don't get me wrong. I want 80 or 90 out of 100 I want 100 out of 100 to enjoy it. But you know what? If one person likes it, one person's liked it, and I've touched one person, and I, in a non-creepy way, touched one person. But if I can write something, produce something, act in something that emotionally affects one person, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I think Squadron Course is right. I mean, and I've always been happy to get constructive criticism, and constructive criticism is great. I have a friend called Maurice Molyneux who's worked on Exodus, Tresorian, Intersection, and has worked with me on a film as well. And he is a very skilled, very talented filmmaker going back quite a few years. And he has reviewed some of my early edits sometimes, and he has had scathing criticism. And he was holding back a little bit. But, it was very helpful criticism. It was very constructive criticism. And stuff like that's helpful. But I agree with Squadron Course. It's like you get some people that just drive by hate, and you're like, well, that's no help, and I'm not being... Good night, Donnie. Bye, Donnie. Have a good weekend. So sorry, I'm trying to type and speak at the same time, which is never a good thing. So yeah, absolutely agree with Squadron Course. You can have that constructive criticism that's really helpful, but you get I don't like to call people haters because I'm not sure if that's even a thing, but you get people that just do come in with, and maybe haters is a fair comment, just drive by attacks for no reason, and it's like, I don't like this, so I'm just going to hate on you. It's like, well, it's okay that you don't like it, but why do you need to be a dick about it?
Well, and that's why I've been so...
Am I allowed to say dick?
Yeah, sure. That's why I've been so shocked. Our ratio is exceptional. And yeah, I mean, that obviously there are mistakes we make, which is different. Feel free to call it a mistake. That's absolutely fine. There's one interesting thing that you get into when you have... And Emma's film was a good example. We had so many views, so many comments. You suddenly find the spectrum of opinions be more varied because... It's no longer just the fan film audience. And so you have people who just disagree with your choices. And that's not you've done it wrong. It's just they don't even not like it. It's like, well, I would have done this differently. It's like, okay. It's sort of a non-comment and yet also quite interesting.
I mean, those can be comments that can lead to some conversation if someone actually has, well, this isn't what I would have done. I might have done this, but this is interesting. Why did you make that choice? You can have an interesting discussion there. The problem you sometimes find, and I think you're finding this as well, people don't want to have those discussions. They don't say, well, I would have done it differently, and then move on. And I'm like, but do you not want to talk about that? Well, maybe I just like to talk too much. I don't know.
Well, it's also, and this is a thing that we don't appreciate from Real Trek, is that we don't know the production mishaps that led to a choice. We say, oh, the Picard copy and paste it was lazy and terrible. Well, they had 1 week to do it. Now, that's not the issue is that they did that. It's that they rewrote the script 2 weeks before it was released. Like, that's the problem. That's that they broke it. So there's no sympathy there. But then you can't blame them for only 7 days doing that sequence. But that's not anyway. So why have I no other characters in these films? Well, because I don't have actors or costumes or there's all these reasons. It'd be nice if more existed. But the fact is, and not to diss other people, I sort of refuse to have a lo-fi webcam actor in a bad costume on a white wall, badly lit, badly sound. It will stand out like a sore thumb, and my films are slightly more elevated than that in terms of it all should feel in universe. I can get lots of people to record on Skype. I don't want to do that. When we filmed Matt Miller for his part for Emma's film Judy Calls, I was like, I need somebody badly for this role. He has a green screen, he has a camera, he has lights. I can probably guarantee he'll be top 75% echelon of doing it, and you really can't tell because we did it as good as you could. If you had a Skype, it would have looked what it was like. And I don't like Michelle Specht's part in Longer From Home because that was a Skype read, but she didn't respond for 8 months. So what are you going to do? But at least it's there.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah, I saved it to some extent by making it small, and it's fine. Acting's great, but things happened. It's there. Whatever.
It's a shame because it is a shame that we couldn't make that happen because she would have been really great in Convergence. But at the same time, I think what we got for Convergence is probably better than what we would have had. Because certainly a character in that has a much more interesting journey than would have had if we'd had Michelle for that. So while I think a lot of people would have really liked seeing Michelle in it, and I would have liked seeing Michelle in it, I think what we've got is much more satisfying. And I don't want to give anything away, but actually, I think it's really great for the actor that got that opportunity and did a very good job with it.
Yeah, we quote unquote burned or wasted a lot of money on that, but the end result is better than we ever thought. And the camaraderie and the writing that script the second time was the hardest thing I've ever done, and it was longer, but it was the same script, but it was different, and it was surreal to hear you do the same line sort of again, but now a different take. Like the way with the context is different. The first Convergence kind of felt hollow now. Thinking back, it was more of a roller coaster fun ride with hints of what you've done previously in your 10 years of active, releasing films. There's little bits here and there you can pull from. This Convergence is, these 9 stories we've already told, these all connect as one big story, and it's all so visceral. It's not even comparable when you break it down. It's remarkable, actually, the difference.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's a much more interesting journey for the actors and for, hopefully, the viewers. And the depth of the characters, much more depth of the characters than there would have been. I don't think the original Convention was bad, and I don't think anybody's performance was bad.
It's good.
I just think this is going to be a much better film than it would have been.
Well, that's the third thing.
Back to it.
Okay.
I think coming back to it 2 or 3 years after the fact, with a fresh set of eyes, really did change it, and it certainly changed my performance, and certainly the way I saw some of the scenes changed as well. Because I remember we did have a discussion about Hunter in one scene that actually in the intervening years that actually that doesn't feel how he should react here.
Yeah.
Well,
because we
had a bit we had a bit of discussion about that and hammered out some line changes and stuff.
And even if primarily you've worked on my films as a release point over the last couple of years, we developed the character a lot by just happenstance and all these ideas, and you couldn't have played him the same way because you now know events, hard points in his life that yes, you've done things and you had your own ideas over the last 20 years, but you had never seen his ship until these films. We hadn't even. I think we do mention and or show the one before it as well. Like there's these things that now tangible. The canon got grown rather tremendously. Even just Velsac 2. I mean, you get to throw a lot of cool stuff out there that is obviously means something either to you or to me or to how you played it. Like so much depth has been added to your character that's like excellent, good, you deserve it.
It's quite interesting as well because if you start looking at the broader picture of Hunter's history, it makes much more sense why. And I don't know how many people have seen our first film. It's like ancient and kind of postage stamp size, and not that amazing to look at these days. 15 years ago, it looked okay. I'd like to stress.
15 years ago, it looked okay. Remember that.
The story, I still think the story holds up pretty well. There are things I would change. But
I'd love to revisit it, Nick, at some point. It'd be great.
Yeah. And I think we did a great job with it, given the fact that we didn't have a clue what we were doing, and actually we didn't have a lot in the way of resources. And Steve Hammond did a great job of editing it and filming it with the resources we had. and he did a lot of that kind of like as a one-man band. But one of the story points in that is that Hunter doesn't want to take the captain's role on, and I think the stuff we see building up to Hunter here, and also stuff that we've done, kind of shows in his background why that is the case. So you can see that actually you can see why Hunter's had a few things happen when that made him maybe a bit wary of being in command.
I mean, yeah, he almost killed his crew in Valsac. He reacted to the Marquis, despite logically they were all dead. He was like, he took the bait. He was hook, line, and sinker. There were no Marquis. They planned an ambush that was planned to kill an Intrepid. And he survived because he was very smart. And he happened to, very luck and all those things. It was that's why it's a documentary. It's a special mission. That's why it's a documentary. But that was so close to being dead, or captured and put in prison like Bashir was. So yeah, I can imagine like that was absolutely. Now yes, he was the guy who got them out of it, but he absolutely got them in. I mean, if a Galaxy had been sent instead, or any other ship, it would have been entirely different. What would have played out? Yeah, and I'm sure we might end up telling more stories about Dominion War era Hunter because it's just an interesting period.
I'd totally be up for that because I had fun making this one. Yeah. Just to answer General Grievous's question, is it the same Daniel Hunter in their films as in? So I'm going to say yes and no. My thinking is, so I'm still friends with Rob Caves and a lot of the Hidden Frontier guys, and I chat to Rob, on and off, and actually saw him recently when we were on holiday.
And just to pause you briefly, you can also see officially in the pitch, and if I bring that up, that we have officially brought back, I'm not muted, DS12. First time in a fan film in a lot of years. So just to briefly mention that, because that's quite cool if you're a fan of Hidden Frontier.
It is. So Rob's thinking is that Hidden Frontier really kind of is its own thing these days. And I'm kind of paraphrasing it, so I'm getting this wrong. I'm sorry, Rob. But Rob kind of thinks that Hidden Frontier has to be in its kind of own kind of quantum universe, whatever. Because it really has gone in a different direction than Star Trek canon has, which is perfectly reasonable. So, from my thinking is that Heavy Lies the Crown, it is the same Hunter, but it also isn't, because the Heavy Lies the Crown that we released is the HF verse Heavy Lies the Crown. So there is a Heavy Lies the Crown in this universe, but it's probably slightly better. My thinking is it probably takes place.
That was in HD, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and in HD, yeah. So the story is probably pretty much the same, but it's, not in the HF verse. So yes and no. Probably no, if that makes sense. But you can assume that most of our films happen exactly the same in both universes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Hidden Frontier is a tricky one, because just like with Advanced Majors films, there's so much story baggage with them that if I was to write anything involving either, I would feel obligated to learn everything to know how it connected, because I don't want plot holes or issues in them. And his story, Rob Caves, is so intricate, and I know some, but it's a lot to watch. And some stuff I might contradict already. So my mentality is, there's DS12. That's all I'm saying. and in fact, I did do a shot with a Helena, but that film was when you were going to go on the TOS sets the first time, and I did study improvers for that. Or was that the one where you made him in Scotland? No, Meet Scotland. So the Helena is already in the film, but that film got trashed. So that's a post-Convergence. That version of Convergence is going to be the big, we'll do another film, Nick. We'll get him to Scotland. That'll be our second film.
Yeah,
no,
well,
COVID.
You know what? That still has to happen. So,
That, yeah.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah.
Nim would like that.
That's my answer. It isn't, but it kind of is. It's a difference that's no difference in a lot of ways.
Okay, this is live spitballing, which is always dangerous.
Always dangerous, especially with you, Sam.
Oh, Chuck, I'll just say someone just contributed. Chuck is live. He says he contributed. I will check that in a second.
Thank you, Chuck.
Amazing.
Much appreciated.
Is it smart? You guys tell us in the chat right now. To retell that story to some extent as a doc format, the canon version.
Oh, Heavy Lies the Crown.
Because that might be an easy way to get around that by actually just, a couple of years later.
I think you have a spam bot in the chat. Yeah.
Unless you want Tinder hot
Sorry,
sex,
spam
then
bot. I'm not looking for adult dating.
we're all busy making fan films to go out adult dating. We're busy.
Well, I mean, yeah, we start getting stuff like that when we start talking about Giles Aston and his Star Trek: The Next Generation porno, but that's a whole other conversation.
I know you've got 3 sequels planned with him. Let's not beat around the bush.
No.
Giles 4 sequels.
I think Giles is out of the Patrick Stewart game, but that sounds wrong now.
Thoughts? A doc that retells it to a certain extent.
Actually, that is an interesting idea. It would involve de-aging.
Oh no!
It would have to involve de-aging. Your favorite tool in your toolbox. I have this conversation with Sam all the time. It's like, if we're doing another film, can we not de-age me in this one? He's like, no, I have to de-age. Like, oh my God. And then I have to bring like 20 different costumes down to Bedford.
Yes. Well, the thing is, it's the most favourite thing to write, one of the most frustrating things to do. But then when you see it, it's like, well, damn, that was worth it. It's just a long thing to do. Staying still helps. But I mean, you don't look that different. You're still Nemesis you. Although weirdly, I should have de-aged Dominion War you to make that make sense. But my logic was that you're a bit stressed with life, so you look older. So you can always look younger after, but you should look different. But that could be a good way of retelling it and giving you what was he really thinking. And now you have the new context of what he was really thinking with all the other stuff. Could be a fun. Although there isn't much of a story beyond what we saw, so you'd have to deepen it. Or I'd have to deepen it if I'm writing it. So kind of like, well, refill me pilot, yeah. Because not enough work,
Maybe. I could probably write that, I guess.
Because docs are really fun. You have to get into the right brain state. Because it's very specific. And I didn't think... I originally started writing one about 2 years ago with a very multicast approach. Because I would film you all separately. And the idea of writing a post-edited piece based on 6 interviews with 6 different interview questions and have them flow together, because in a normal documentary you make the edit feel seamless, but you're actually pulling together 8 interviews. So to write that felt so impractical, because they're literally finishing each other's sentences but they couldn't know they were doing that. Then I thought, well, what if I write like 6 full films worth of interview and then edit that, and I'll start cutting out pieces and make... But then I'm writing literally 6 full iterations of the event to cut out most of it. And that's an insane amount of writing for limited resources, limited result. And then I had to write your damn doc, and I got it. I zoned in at 1 a.m, I just did it. I just got it, I understood it, I did it, and now I can write them. So, they're not easy to write, though.
No, I can imagine.
I wrote one for Emma. Well, I wrote one for Emma. And that was a fun, like, I had 2 days to write it. It was a similar, like, well, either I do it or I don't. Our film one day was like 3 hours or 4.5 with the doc. I was like, let's do the doc. I'll write a doc, because it'll be really, really satisfying. And it's really good. She did a really good job. You've done the best job so far, I can say, out of all the cast.
I'll take that.
Because the difference, honestly, is, I mean, if you put Nim and Mark in front of a doc idea, over half the words are nonsense. Emma knows maybe 80% of the words, but doesn't quite know the interconnectivity for fair reasons. You know everything.
So you're saying I'm the biggest nerd out of the bunch of them, then?
I'm not saying that. You just said it.
I'll take it.
But it certainly allows for a flowing film when you just know all the contexts. I mean, it was
just fun. It was just fun to do, actually, and that one just kind of flowed. Yeah, it just flowed. It just worked that day, and it was just one of those kind of lightning in a bottle things. I don't know. We were just lucky, I think.
Currently, we've got another donation from Rick for I think it was £10. So we are now £15 away from $2,500, which is a lot of money, Rick, in anyone's metrics. So if anybody could put in £15 more pounds, which is any of the crew perks. We have the Defiant, E, Cerritos, DS9, Enterprise D, which is new, or the Ships of Trekshorts poster. If anyone can put in £15 for the end of this live, which will be pretty soon, we'll hit a very, very nice mini goal So just saying, if anyone wants to do 15, it's not a lot, and it would make a cool difference. And certainly lovely to see this go up as we go. And we'll do these, I think, every week during the, not necessarily with you, obviously, but we'll do these.
You know, I was worried because it was only like £125 in the rail, and it was like, oh no.
How do you think I felt?
Yeah, I know. I figured you would be sweating slightly.
Because the fact is, I know from other people, and I'm sure you to some extent for your Indiegogo, you might put a day or two working on it, to take away filming time, just the physical production. Mine's like 3.5 weeks.
Oh, I know exactly how much work you've put into this. I know you've been working on that for like a month.
And we're not including all the prep of all the animations, which all are going to be looking at weeks of time. So I put in an inordinate amount of time. It comes across, but as we know with any crowdfunding, it's not up to me. It's literally up to people. So that's disheartening and fun. But I mean, how could I do any more? You know, I'm showing everything here.
And I said this to you earlier when we were chatting, that actually, you know, you've done what you can do, and you've done a great job, and it's in the hands of other people now.
Yep. Those to respond or not. But we have more. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
We hopefully have a few more things coming during the campaign. We've got plans to take more time, obviously, but that's all good. Hopefully you guys will be excited by them. You know, we need to raise at least most of it, most of the money. But, you know, 39 days to go. It's plenty of time. It'll be the end of November. It's just for the Christmas rush. And, you know, it was a fun one to do. And I definitely recontextualized a few things when I did it. Because, I mean, I had to relive a lot of stuff and remember a lot of stuff. And I mean, it's such a, you know, I you know, finding those little blooper clips. We did so much. And I mean, even you've been in so many versus everyone else. But I couldn't go.
What was I laughing about at the end of that thing? Because I have no memory of that whatsoever.
Because that was the first bonus shoot. That was the actual first time you came down when we did.
Was it? Oh, I know which one that is. I just don't remember what I was laughing about.
It was a dirty joke that was very inappropriate. Hence why.
Was that Marcus by any chance?
Oh no, you said it.
Did I?
Well, no, you bounced off each other. I don't remember exactly either, but you bounced off each other and you made it worse, and then you broke down.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You wonderfully broke down.
This is what the set is like. It really is. Yep.
And that's that's a great film we did there with Marcus. Like that was a really strong first idea. Because the ideas sort of vary as we go through time of like what my mindset was and how ambitious we want to get, and the confidence level grew and etc. That one will be one of the early ones released as well.
That was the first one we did, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that one was the big.
How long ago was that?
Well, it would have been like say March last year probably.
Wow.
Yep.
Like a year and a half ago, more than a year and a half ago. That's scary.
Yeah, it's been and it'll be because we've fit it all in versus spread it out. But we know, push things over years and years, lose momentum. Yeah. We've kept momentum. We've really kept it. We've kept going, and we're gonna have a wonderful resource to come out. But that film,
that's another one. Another one I'm really looking forward to seeing, actually, because again, I think there was some cracking scenes between Marcus and I.
There was.
I don't know. I don't know if I sucked in it or not, but I'm sure Marcus was very good.
No, you both were. That was a very different sort of film. That was super standalone, which is unusual because it was one of the earlier ones. And it's funny because obviously time passes and things develop. I didn't have a Galaxy Class model at the time that was available. And I now have one, as you've seen in Velsac 2. So I throw it in wherever I can because it's bloody beautiful. And so I literally went from... I'd done this months ago. I have most of the shots finished already. I went from being... I can get two shots with the model I have, you know, intro and outro, and I'll say everything else in diagrams. Now I've done like 25 shots in the film. That's all proper space. Everything that should be there is now there. So, you know, the end sequence of the thing that does bad damage, like, I've done that. It's cool. So that's really fun. So yeah, a lot of work, a lot of hard things, a lot of effort. But yeah, you guys have already made a big splash in the first day. It's not the first day; it's the first 3 hours. But obviously, 8% is nowhere near 100%. You know,
but it's pretty good, and you know, thank you everyone who's chipped into it so far, because it really is appreciated.
Makes us feel better for sure.
You know, I mean, it it just helps us make these things and helps us get them out to you. And it helps us play Star Trek, which is my favorite hobby.
Clearly. Yeah, and not just play, but also with the aim to make almost real Star Trek in as much as we can. Not to say we're ever claiming to be real Star Trek, and we certainly haven't got the quality of real Star Trek, and that's okay. We wouldn't even aim to, but maybe the space stuff I get close, but I've been doing that for a long time now.
There's some really fun stuff coming up, and I don't even know all the fun stuff that's coming up.
You don't.
But there is all the stuff that I do know is pretty fun, and I know some stuff that I think might, blow people's minds a bit.
Yeah, there's a few things that are just, because once you build up the asset library, and you go real clever. And you don't know Marcus's solo films. You don't know Nim's solo films. You only know the stuff you're in, pretty much. A little bit of Alexa's stuff, but like no one individually knows everyone's films. And that's good. It means you'll get surprised. I know that Nim likes watching all the other films.
I have lots of fun behind the scenes photos that I can't share. So
Yes, there's a. Although some of them need to be de-aged in theory to make sense. And I love the cast photo you took as well. I'm very annoyed that I didn't get a picture like that. So thank you for that cast picture, because that's been my
You're very welcome.
My yay, because Marie got in it as well. It's the only one with the entire production staff. I photoshopped it because there was no green at the edge. But yeah, you guys have been amazing. It's late. We should both go to bed, so I think we'll call that as a. We got 2,425. Hopefully we'll get up to at least 3 by the morning. I've done my bit. Go watch Velsac 2. I'll be promoting that like hell tomorrow. Hopefully Emma will also promote it as well. We are currently at... Oh, don't do that. We're currently at 678 views. For 0 promotion, it's pretty good. 50 comments, which is lovely. You're getting some lovely things said. So congrats to you.
That's always nice to hear.
It's funny, I found from Emma as well, is that I do most of the work, the actor gets the biggest credit. Like, they get the most praise, because that's what people notice.
I always give you credit for your direction, Sam, because, actors can be... You can have amazing actors that look terrible because of bad direction. So a good director, it's a good director who brings out that performance, and it's a good editor, and Sam's doing the editing here as well, who picks the performance. So, it really is a collaborative thing. And, I can turn up and deliver lines, but I have no idea whether those lines are hitting or what the quality of them is or anything. You can't hear yourself. You think you
We've had this debate before, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't know. But if you've got a director there who is paying attention to those things and giving you feedback and saying, no, actually, can you do this? Can you do that? Actually, it just makes a huge difference. So, yeah, it's totally a collaborative thing.
And not just that, but in all your recent films with Alexa, when you're in a physical location, and I've done this with Nim, I've had a few scenes with Nim, when you're in the scene, you aren't necessarily seeing what they're performing, you're seeing what their character's saying to you as a character. And that might not be what works best for the scene in the abstract, but I'm seeing it from the absolute outside, because you get lost if you can, you get lost in the scene. So it's a very much I have to have this third person perspective and kind of see it. Although I love the editing the doc, because knowing when to give you pauses and for how long, it's so beautiful when you're just letting the auto cue move, but your eyes are still giving the acting. I know I know you know to do that. But every half second of deliberacy, you're like, oh, Hunter's thinking. No, Nick's reading the auto cue. He's waiting for it to go down. But it comes across. It's a fantastic medium. And we have done a second one with you that I barely remember filming because it was quite a let's do this. And
what was that one?
I've not done a single bit of CG for it, and it's very ambitious. It links to one of the video games, if you recall, that you sort of know but sort of don't know. It's not as lightning in the bottle, though. Fans are going to love the really cool space stuff that happens in it. And I don't know if we needed to still film your past bits. I can't remember.
Okay.
That was kind of a most films I have strong memories of, but that one was quite a quick do it and be done one.
I think I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not like I'm not going to be back down, so...
Indeed. But General Guru says, hopefully he's going to try and donate something later this evening. Yes, please do. Anyone that can, please do, of course. But thank you so far. I'll do more of these as we go. Maybe I can get other team members on. It's very late for them because they all have normal UK schedules. This is obviously very late for you as well. So having Nim on at like 10 p.m. is very late for her.
I'm off tomorrow, so.
Exactly. And thank you for being a scene partner here. It's a lot easier than vamping
I'm
yourself. Getting some stories across. And I was downstairs watching. Okay. I was like, what the hell is that noise?
Yeah, you should totally have the entire cast on, Sam. And then it'll be chaos.
Yes, that would be difficult. Oy. And that's the sad reality that I'm slightly annoyed about, is that all of you wonderful people will get more famous as time goes on, because we know what's to come. So having them on now,
I won't.
So having them on now is like, oh cool, it's Marcus from Temporal Anomaly, as he always jokes, because that's what he is. He's Marcus from Temporal Anomaly.
Yeah.
But actually, he's Sam Harriman from All This Awesome Journey.
Indeed.
Which you haven't seen. So, luckily Nim has a few films where people know Nim, but, it'd be nice to get him on, but, things have to be released, so we'll see. But Emma, I'm sure, will come on as well, and then Marcus will have another one on very soon, I'm my aim. All right, any final word, Nick, on this launch of the Trekshorts 2022 Indiegogo, the second one we did? My goodness.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's taken the time to come and chat to us tonight, and everyone who's chipped into the fundraiser. It is really appreciated, and I can't even put into words how much that we all appreciate it, because it's just lovely. Just knocked over by it all, and I'm glad everybody's enjoying the film because it was fun. I'm very proud of it.
I'm sure you're going to be looking around the comment sections and see what people think throughout the next week or two.
I might hide from some of the comments. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. But yes, go check out Nick Cook, Battle of Velsac 2, the epic fan film extraordinaire. He sells it very, very well.
Thank you.
This little quick tease of Velsac. Yes. Get in the middle. Haha. Have you ever been in the mess hall before? In your films?
No, I don't think so anyway.
Although it's not actually the mess hall, it's actually the captain's blah 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 blah. Yes, I know.
It's the mess hall on Intrepid.
Okay, good. Oh, thank you, Nick. There you go.
Hunter's not much of a captain's mess hall person. He'd like to share his... He would have a crew mess hall.
Indeed. And you even get to be next to Cisco at one point. Lucky you.
Oh, I know.
Cisco saves you. All right, well, thank you all very much, guys, for jumping in, saying hello. Thanks for the questions, thanks for the comments. Keep pressing buttons here. There we go. And yes, stay tuned. Donate if you can. And obviously, Trekyards, normal stuff. Check it out. And we might get Nick back on for the end. Maybe to talk about Velsac a bit more when more people have seen it.
I'm happy to come back.
Cool. So until then, he is Captain Hunter.
And he is Commander Cocking.
Sure. You could have said Davis, but then you had to say Ensign. That'd be a bit sad. Yeah.
He is also Lieutenant Davis.
Thank you. Bye, guys.